Welcome to the Art and Culture Center Hollywood virtual tour. We are so thrilled to have you join us. My name is Meaghan Kent. I'm the Curator of Exhibitions here at the Art and Culture Center. I began my position just in November, and I have to say that what I love so much about working here as I began here is that it really is such a community-driven art center. So I'm thrilled to be presenting the exhibitions here and talking about the space here with Choose 954 because it's really a community-thrived, supportive space where you're immediately welcomed. Even as you walk through the door here, you immediately step into this incredible slice of history in Hollywood. This house is from 1924. One of the mottos of this exhibition, this art space, is that it's an old building with new art. So a lot of the work that we do is very contemporary exhibitions with contemporary artists, mostly local artists, or mixing local art with national or international art. It's very supportive of the community here. We do a really fantastic 2020 Florida biennial that'll be coming in the fall, and that's for people to apply for. So there's this real support back and forth with the community that I was immediately drawn to and something that I immediately love and am proud to be a part of. So we're in the Open Dialogue Stories from the LGBTQ Community exhibition. This was a very special project that really connected with everybody that worked here at the Art and Culture Center. We got this wonderful grant from the Community Foundation of Broward, where we were able to produce our own film with director Freddie Rodriguez. And the film is a series of interviews of coming out stories by different people from the Broward community to tell their story about coming out and some of the different experiences. With the exhibition, we worked with Stonewall Archives and with the director there, Hunter Ohanian, and we developed a series, kind of put together a different series of pieces that stem with the different stories, with the different narratives of the participants in the film. And I really wanted to focus on these different thematic kind of sections because there's a lot of things that kind of came together throughout the trailer, where there's this idea of community, where there's this space that LGBTQ people can come together despite discrimination. So it starts with this portion talking about Anita Brian. And if you're not familiar with Anita Brian, it's a very fascinating wormhole on the internet, but she was a spokesmodel for Florida Orange Juice, very well-known singer and television star. So she was very, very well-known throughout the Florida community. And when there were some equal rights amendments to Florida state law for LGBTQ people, she spoke out against it and essentially started this organization called Save Our Children, where there's a brochure that kind of goes out here trying to repeal that legislation, and that happened around 1972. The idea was that homosexuals were trying to recruit children. And so there's this really interesting mythology, this kind of storytelling that starts here, but then there's this flip side of it in the archives of people kind of rebelling against it. So there's bumper stickers, to vote against this repeal. There's this really amazing lesbian concentrate album of women protesters. There was a boycott on orange juice. And so that's this really interesting part of history that kind of connects along here. And then we talk about narrative and poetry and literature and the way that becomes this way to connect people together. So there's this idea of protest, of speaking for your own rights, and then this idea of using poetry and text, these feminist publications from the early 70s, to Richard Blanco's most recent publication, talking about Pulse. These different methods are ways that people are able to connect together to talk about their freedom and their rights, to be who they want to be. There's also, one of the participants is Gary Keating. He was one of the proponents of putting together the Gay Men's Chorus in Florida, and so there's some programs here that relate to the Gay Men's Chorus, and he talks about his experiences of coming out and some of the dangers that came into play during that time. So it's a range of the early 70s to current. There's also the South Florida Bisexual Network. These really amazing transgender, they called it transsexual at the time. It was in the 90s, these transgender magazines, again, talking about the search for a community and how these transgender magazines were ways for people to identify and not feel so alone. And then we end up here, which I liked creating this kind of mirrored approach with this idea of Sunshine Cathedral kind of coming together in the early 80s. There's some photographs of the first and the second church. The Sunshine Cathedral was one of the first churches and is still around today. There was a really beautiful leaded glass project, stained glass windows, fundraiser around 2000. So now it's this really beautiful institution now. And we really wanted to, talk about this idea of religion, because that's something that they talk about a lot in the video, and how religion was used to condemn. But then there's also this really beautiful way of using religion to come back together. And so forming this church and finding this safe space. Another thing that we did as part of this exhibition is one of the participants is poetry writer, Julie Marie Wade, and she's going to be doing a poetry reading for us in October, because we will be reopening the exhibition in the fall, because we really want to make sure that everybody has a chance to see this exhibition. So Julie Marie Wade reads some of her texts in the video, and so we printed out some of the text here. And they're just some really beautiful, some of the pieces are very simple. There's also some really lovely humor that coincides with it. And then these are all different publications, again, tying in with that idea of literature ranging from the 1920s to now. This exhibition is a Haitian, Miami-based artist, Lisa Polisaint. It's called Ruining Love Songs. It's about broken relationships. It's about her experiences. I love this room as the connection room to open dialogues because it creates that safe space. And so there's some intimate memories in this exhibition that I think are really quite beautiful. Like this piece is from her childhood, like childhood memories. So what Lisa has done is used her photographs, printed them on fabric, and you can really see in this exhibition, in this room here, in this gallery, they're her photographs, and then she has them printed on this very lightweight material and then embroiders them, these really beautiful silhouettes of past relationships. And so this is a very ethereal, tactile, dreamlike kind of state as you walk through here and see these really lovely silhouettes of people that are no longer around. This is a really fantastic piece because it's like a broken text message. So one of the questions I like to ask people a lot is, who do you think was the one that broke up the relationship? And so it's very interesting to me because a lot of people think that she was the one that was broken up with, but in actuality she was the one that did the breaking up. So it's nice thinking about how the pain, that there is pain, there is a bittersweetness in an end of a relationship, no matter what side you're on. And then this is our main gallery. Just a remark on the history of the Art and Culture Center. The building itself, the house itself is from 1924, and then in the 50s, it turned into a funeral home. And so there's still some rooms that kind of have that feel of funeral home. And this room in particular was where all the pews were set up, and then here was where they would have the services or the wakes. So this space was, the carpet was pulled up, concrete, and then made out to be an exhibition space. The show that's up right now is Drawing on Likeness. It was curated by Saul Ostro, who's a New York art critic, curator, and professor. And he brought 3 artists together that don't at first have a commonality, don't have like a heavy weighted themed group exhibition kind of feel to it. So what he did with this exhibition was a lot of it was based on likeness, hence the title Drawing on Likeness. This piece is Lydia Sarkovic. She made this piece. We wrote a little description on the wall here, but essentially she set these these lights behind her. And she had this marker, this like black pastel kind of crayon marker with the paper, and she just drew and cut for 3 days straight. Was very physical in making the piece, and then just kind of ultimately decided when the piece was completed. And then we have this piece over here by Eva Lisa Jimenez. Eva Lisa's from Puerto Rico. All of the pieces came rolled up and were installed on site. Again, this is a piece that was totally made and figured out when she was here. It's based on different elements that have been pulled out from different artworks. So it just kind of came together in a very fluid, installation, site-specific kind of way. Then we have Estava Prado, who's based in New York, who's Brazilian-born, and his work also has that site-specific kind of quality to it, where the video projection, collision, collusion, illusion, he made that on site with the way that it was being projected and the way that it drew a space and the way it creates that line in the space. This was the first time he ever showed that video. And then the piece over in the corner here, he kind of likens it as a spine. It was 2 pieces actually placed together. But it's got this kind of feel like it's a fungus, or it's this kind of ever-growing piece, because these can keep going and going and going and going. And so when you're kind of walking through this exhibition, you get a sense of this idea that all of these pieces are ever growing, ever changing, always adapting in a very organic, site-specific kind of way. So this was a really special exhibition. He also painted this line here to kind of echo the room. There's also this really great blue light. All these things that you don't notice immediately, that kind of are very subtle, but if you kind of walk around slowly enough, you're able to kind of pick up on it. So the Art and Culture Center in Hollywood is located here at 1650 Harrison Street in this beautiful house from 1924, one of the oldest buildings in this neighborhood. Originally, it was a space. The center started in the 70s on the shore, but that building was no longer secure because of the way that it had been built. So it needed to move. So meanwhile, this house was in this beautiful, beautiful art space, and you can look at some of the photographs that we have here at the space as you walk through the center. That former location was no longer able to sustain itself or survive. They had to take that building down. So what we did was we moved into this space. They were able to purchase this space, and we moved in here in 1992. So here we are at the upper level of the old house from 1924. So you can see many of the rooms have been converted into office spaces. And then we lead into this fantastic community gallery. The community gallery is exactly what it says that it is. It's this beautiful space that is open to these curated exhibitions by different school teachers and professors and organizations that put together these really fantastic shows. So for example, the one show that we have up right now, that's still on view, we have we'll be taking it down in the next few weeks, but the exhibition that's up right now is the NSU University School of Digital Photography, and it was curated by artist Brian Geffen in his class. This was a really fantastic exhibition that Brian put together based on his student photography, and it has been really a thrill because we do these wonderful tours with a lot of high schools. A lot of different schools come through here, so it's a wonderful opportunity for them to see the potential of their own work being hung in their space. In the summertime, this is all run by the education department, and in the summertime they're going to be opening up these camps, and every 2 weeks there's going to be portfolio reviews that are in this space, and that's going to be really beautiful too. So in speaking about the education department, I'd love to talk about the opportunity that we have in opening up the brand new education wing that's going to be happening next year. We had a open presentation for it here about a month ago, so you can actually see what the building is going to be looking like. But it's a beautiful, brand new, modern space that's going to be able to handle art classes, dancing, music classes, private lessons, group lessons, and all sorts of things. It's really going to expand and open up all of the educational programming that we do here. With that in mind, we encourage people, and especially to talk about the Go Bond itself. The way that we got the Go Bond was it was a city vote. So really the community of Hollywood were the people that voted for the money to be able to fund that. So it really does go full circle with the support that we get with our exposed exhibition, with the benefit, with artists participating, and then you can also purchase a ticket where you automatically get an artwork. That's $300 to get this brand new artwork and go to this benefit, and then that's a means of supporting the Art and Culture Center. There's also numerous other events and activities that we have. We do provide a membership where if you become a member, you have access to all of the openings and talks and programming that we do here. There's also the NARM membership that you can get, where you get a membership, you purchase the membership through here at the Art and Culture Center, but then it gives you access to over 1,000 museums in the nation, including Canada and Mexico. You can find out information if you check our website, artandculturecenter.org. You can also link onto our social media platforms. Our Instagram is Art and Culture Center, and our Facebook page. And so we're constantly updating it with new information, exhibitions, and programming.